yes, there are still some of those comments being made about the Brock Purdy situation. We'll play it for you in just a little bit. But let's go to Heavy D in Richmond. What's up, D? How you doing?
Gentlemen, thank you for taking my call. Last night, the haters were silenced. The doubters were schooled. What we saw was basically akin to a Roman Colosseum brutality. The young man from Iowa scored 4 touchdowns, just like a very young man from Polk High School. We saw it all. If the 49ers do not wind up in Las Vegas raising the Lombardi Trophy in front of Mark Davis, I'll eat my Airedale. Thank you. Good night now.
Heavy D.
All right, Heavy D.
The best scripted call you can find in the Bay Area.
Go ahead and rack that guy. Although George only scored 3, not 4 touchdowns. We have to kind of, after calls like that, you do like they do on Pardon the Interruption. And
go to Stat Boy.
Let's find out where we messed up. George Kittle only scored 3 times.
Not so fast. I think he's talking about Brock Purdy throwing 4 touchdowns.
I don't know what he's talking about. Brock's not from Iowa. He's from Iowa State. So
Kittle's also not from Iowa.
I know.
The state itself.
He's from Iowa.
When two Marks collide. Mark with a C. It's Mark with a K.
He went to Iowa. Did he not go to Iowa? So he's from Iowa. What do you say anytime one of them Ducks plays in the NFL? What do you say? What do you say, Mark with a C?
We plucked them out of USC's backyard is what we do.
Wow.
We say they're from Southern California.
All right, you guys have your Pac-12 fight in the other room. That's about enough out of both of you.
Pluck them out of South.
Just like 10 seconds on the Pac-12. I remain winless in the Friday picks as Colorado unable to cover. I mean, what was the spread?
I lost this week, too.
4.5? And they won by 3?
They won by 3.
It's just...
I couldn't remember.
They were up by 2 scores. Anyway, your boy is COLD, cold.
Yeah, but I told you, fade the dippers, and everybody's going to get paid.
Yeah, there you go. Tune in Friday for more fades.
And more cookies.
Brought to you by Michael Crabtree, the fade route.
888-957-9570. Okay, let's rock and roll. I thought when the game ended last night, I'm like, that's the scenario he was waiting for. It's everything that Brock Purdy was waiting for. It was a primetime game. The whole nation watched. If you asked for who won the star of the game on offense, I mean, you could make the Kittle case because he had 3 touchdowns, but those were his only 3 catches. If you really wanted to go, okay, what was the straw that stirred the offensive drink? There was no question. It was obvious. The answer was Brock Purdy. 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Goes right down the field on the opening drive without an incompletion. Everything looked completely dominant. NFL-level throws, chunk throws, downfield. No dink, no dunk. None of it. I watch all
chunk,
that.
no dunk?
I mean, come on. And then you put up 42 against the NFL's top-rated defense. Okay, you do all that. And I was like, well, now this conversation is over because bringing it up is nothing short of ridiculous. What a ridiculous concept to talk about whether or not Brock Purdy is actually playing good football or if he's simply a product of having good players around him. So unless your name is Steven and you work for the Ringer, and obviously he's got some sort of a thing, or if you're on the lunatic fringe where you're just like, come on, he's not that good, because you're a Cowboy fan, whatever it is, I'm like, that's the end of that. It's all over. What else can anyone say? And then on ESPN this morning, a guy I really respect, Dan Orlovsky, says this in a conversation with Rex Ryan on Get Up.
If Mac Jones was in San Francisco, he would be playing like Brock Purdy.
I actually agree.
Oh, God, no.
Yes, dude.
No, there's no chance. He'd be better than he is, but if you think he's going to play like Brock Purdy,
Rex.
you haven't paid attention to Brock Purdy.
Rex.
That is a slap in his face.
No, it's not.
He's not just a system quarterback.
Did we pay
that guy's
attention?
playing like Joe Montana, not Joe Montana, like this guy's playing. Stop, Dano, stop.
Yeah, stop, Dano. Please. Stop. What the hell are we doing?
Mac Jones can't even get 4 quarters of play for a New England team at home because he's so bad. He gets pulled more often than a rotten tooth, Mark. Thank you.
That's what, I was just like, where's it going?
Yeah, well,
what's the punchline? A lot of options.
Trying to keep it PG here, Mark. Rotten Tooth, Mark. I went with Rotten Tooth.
All right. Rotten Tooth. Good answer.
Bailey Zappi is constantly warming up, and you're telling me that Mac Jones, if he were here, would be doing what Brock Purdy's doing?
But
it's insulting.
Of course it's insulting.
It triggers you.
Well,
and you can admit it.
It's just like, why? Why? Why would you even say that? You're a quarterback. Dano, you're a quarterback. You know damn well how hard it is to do in this league. You once stepped out the back of the end zone, a la Jimmy. You're the first one to do it. You know how hard it is in this league, no matter the system. So if he's trying to prop up Mac, great, whatever. But, like, I don't understand. And this is what I tried to say last week. Everyone is free to have their opinion, but you've got to own it. What I hated about this comment from Orlovsky was not that he made it. It's that then he doubles back to say, but I'm not being insulting to Brock. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You may not divorce yourself from the idea that you're calling Brock Purdy a system quarterback, a product of his surroundings, when you say things like this.
Even Greeny got involved. If you play it again, you can hear Mike Greenberg say, I can see that.
Oh, of course.
Who is that who comes in with the no?
Rex Ryan.
Oh, that's Rex Ryan.
That's Rex Ryan. And listen for Dan Orlovsky's yes, dude. He keeps calling him dude. There's two dudes. Rex Ryan getting called dude on ESPN.
If Mac Jones was in San Francisco, he would be playing like Brock Purdy.
I actually agree. Oh, God, no.
Yes, dude.
No, there's no chance. He'd be better than he is. But if you think he's going to play like Brock Purdy,
Rex.
you haven't paid attention to Brock Purdy.
Rex.
That is a slap in his face.
No, it's not.
He's not just a system quarterback.
Did we pay
that guy's
attention?
playing like Joe Montana, not Joe Montana, like this guy's playing. Stop, Dano. Stop.
All right. Good fake laugh by everybody around the board. Wonderful broadcasting. Rex Ryan calls it a slap in the face, and then Dan goes, no, it's not. Dan. It's a Dan day.
Yeah, boy.
Yes, it is. And that's allowed. But yes, it is. That's all I'm asking for at this point. Because you're a crazy person if you don't think this guy's a really good football player. You're allowed your opinions. You can like the guys you like. You can dislike the guys you dislike. Do whatever you want. But do not call Brock a product of his surroundings and then follow it up with, that's not a slap in his face. Yes,
it's like the same version of us. I'm sorry, but, or I'm sorry if.
Yes, it is. It just is.
Yeah. And I really am looking forward to Wednesday. You want to know why?
Why?
It's the day that Steven Ruiz of The Ringer releases his quarterback rankings. And I'm interested to see which way he goes, because after a primetime performance like that, you can go one of two ways. You can either elevate him as he should have been 4 weeks ago, or you double down and you be the guy digging his feet in the sand like Dan Orlovsky just was in that cut right there, because he's got him at number 25. And by all measurements this year, he's number one in QBR. We went through all this before the Sunday night game. Completion percentage, he's, I think, second behind Josh Allen. Yards, he's up there. All the numbers and the metrics. Brock Purdy's a top 5 guy this year. Forget legacy and, would you take Joe Burrow or would you take Brock Purdy? Just on the year he's having, you can't have him any lower than 7. And honestly, top 5 is where he belongs. So I wonder where all the haters will go now, because it's getting impossible to hate on this guy.
Well, Steven Ruiz, I'm still trying to figure out if this is a bit or kind of where he's going with the whole thing. I actually spoke to one of our favorites, Connor Letourneau, who writes for the San Francisco Chronicle, who's doing a Brock Purdy article that may drop actually this afternoon or this evening. And he told me that he and Steven Ruiz went to college together.
Oh, wow.
And they went to Maryland together, and that Steven's a really good dude and a really good, really successful writer, all of that stuff. Ruiz, I don't know if you watched during the game last night what Ruiz was tweeting.
Do you follow him?
Well, no. But you know how X is now, where like people where there's engagement. I've been to Ruiz's page a bunch over the last week, so I don't follow him, but his tweets come up. And so here they are. And last night during the game, he, let's see, where did he goes, oh my God, he's going to win the MVP. Oh my God, he's going to win the MVP. That was 21 hours ago.
That's a quick turn.
Okay. And then, let's see, about an hour after that, this is last year's playoff game all over again, which no, it wasn't because the Niners only scored 19 in that one. Then he tweets, let's just skip to the Eagles-Niners NFC title game now. And then here's where I started to go, okay, this might just be a bit. He goes, wow, Brock Purdy got benched.
Yeah.
And then later,
they had to pull him, Mark.
And then later in the evening, he did NFC power rankings, and he has the 49ers at number 1.
Ooh, that's a reach.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what he actually thinks. And that was the start of that whole rant I went on last week, which is that nobody thinks this. So you're either doing a bit or you're trying to get a whole lot of attention. It clearly worked. Nobody thinks Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy. Nobody. But then Dan Orlovsky sort of dipped his toe in the water of, well, it's just situational, which I just think is crazy. It's just crazy because we don't do that in the NFL. You don't get to just be like, well, we've got a good receiver and a good tight end and a good coach.
A great running back, too.
That describes Mahomes.
Hall of Fame left tackle.
That describes Hurts. That describes Herbert. I mean, he doesn't have a great coach. He's got a great play caller. Well, supposedly. He's got an amazing receiving core. Austin Eckler behind him. I don't know, man.
I just don't know why when we do that it feels like that has to be a demerit. The fact that he's playing alongside other great players. Why is that a bad thing? Why does that take away from Brock Purdy? Because Brock Purdy's playing really, really well alongside other football players who are playing very well. And you're 5-0, and if you look at the metrics, they are number 2 in the NFL in points and only trailing Miami, who put up 70 on Denver, which is a bit of an anomaly. Only 4 games ever where a team has scored 70. So consistently, the Niners have been the best offense, and their defense is number 1 in points allowed. So is this supposed to be a negative for Brock because he's on a really good team playing for a very good head coach?
Yeah, definitely not.
I don't know why we have to detract based on being around talented players.
Fun question from Uncle Looney on YouTube, because you know how everyone says, well, Brock has not lost a game that he started and finished. And well, he says, does this count as a game that Brock started and finished? Because he wasn't in there at the end.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no is the answer, but that's a made-up stat.
Right.
It's a make-believe thing.
It's people trying to qualify what we all know, which is, A, there was a game that the 49ers won where Brock didn't start it, but he played most of it.
Sure.
And then there's the only game that they've lost in the last calendar year, which was then Brock threw 4 passes and then had to leave. So,
well, he did come back in that game. Let's be fair.
You love to bring that up.
Well, I deal in facts, Mark. And if you want to go ostrich on me and put your head in the sand, you can do that.
Yeah, well,
but you know what? I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it real.
You keep doing that.
I'll keep it real. And if the NFL says,
I don't know why he didn't try a left-handed pass. Try it. Maybe it would have gone well.
Try something.
He can already do a bunch of stuff that nobody thought he could do.
Mac Jones is listed as 1-4. Even though he's been pulled in 2 of those losses, he gets the loss because he got the start.
He's been objectively awful. I don't know if you watched any of that game yesterday.
Absolutely.
When the New England Patriots, coached by Bill Belichick on their home field, could not even think about threatening for a point against the Saints.
Uno punto. Nada.
I mean, the timing, I know he doesn't have the Receivers, the play calling, I get it. But the timing and the decision-making and the field awareness that he shows out there, I'm telling you, man, that does not translate. That does not translate. That is not a starting quarterback. And you know who's laying in the weeds? Maybe once again, Bill is playing chess, not checkers. You want to ask me where I think Caleb Williams is going to play football next year?
New England?
The New England Patriots. Absolutely. Because if you look at the teams right now that are all challenging for the top picks, all of them have difficulties with the idea of bringing in a new quarterback. Carolina's 0-5. They just drafted one.
Yeah, but boy.
Arizona Cardinals, truckloads of money into Kyler. Denver Broncos, truckloads of money into Russell Wilson. Chicago Bears, I don't know, the last 2 weeks.
He's back.
Maybe you want Justin Fields still. I don't know. But if you go through all these teams, who's the one team right now that looks like they're going to lose all the games and they're like, yep, we're ready. Just get rid of our guy and get a new one. It's the New England Patriots.
Yeah, but that roster is so bad that he's not the answer. And I wonder how long.
He's the answer for everybody.
But he's not the answer in the short term because New England has got a terrible roster.
Yeah, who cares about short term? I mean, you're taking that guy and building around him.
Yeah, I wonder how long Bill is going to be around for this gig.
I don't know. And by the way, he's not the only guy. There are other QBs coming. It is a beautiful quarterback draft. All right, Dale in Walnut Creek next up on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Dale. What you doing?
Hey, I'm just driving home. I'm listening to you guys. A lot to digest. No question, Brock Purdy is better than Daniel Jones. No question. Next point was Tom Brady assistant quarterback? Did he have a team that was really built around him, an offensive line, and never let him get touched? And the times he got touched, you saw what happened, the Giants, etc. Nobody's calling the GOAT assistant quarterback. It's just a good, you dial up good offense. And it's a team sport. So in addition to the guys he has around him, he's part of that. It's a team sport. He's part of why they're so good. He's just as important as Christian McCaffrey and Fred Warner and all the other guys. It's a team sport. And the only thing I'll say in defense of Daniel Jones, I mean, that they screwed him with offensive coordinators who were defensive guys. He looked better last year. But enough about them. We are the best team in the NFL. And Brock Purdy, if he's assistant quarterback, then if that's a negative, then the GOAT is assistant quarterback.
Yeah, Dale, thanks for the call. Totally agree across the board with where the 49ers are sitting, and you can make this case about just about every quarterback who's played well. Are they part of the system? Yeah, they are the system. And right now, the way this guy's playing, that is the 49ers system, and it's an incredibly, incredibly successful one. I mean, that's the beauty of today is, because I know, like Steiny was joking about it earlier. He's like, no one's saying that. Nobody thinks Purdy is not good. And he's right to a degree. But literally in the shadow of his show, here comes Dan Orlovsky with this comment. So, yes, some people are still saying these things. The beauty of today is I find it so much easier, I hope, for everybody to just dismiss this stuff. Like, honestly, we can't keep doing this. Nobody thinks that Brock Purdy is not awesome because you can't. You cannot think that.
You can, but it is a credibility buster.
Totally.
And I think less of Dan Orlovsky today than I did 4 hours ago, having heard what he's saying. And I do think that he's saying it because you know how these shows work. You've been on as many of them as I have, and it's debate. You got to be fueled by debate. So you come off a Sunday Night Football performance, and even on our show, earlier today, we're all thinking, well, what do we talk about? Do we spend 4 hours talking about how good this team is? Well, we can, because that's the truth, and it's fun, and that's the authentic assessment of this 49er team. But these TV shows, ESPN, Fox, all the rest of them, they want to embrace debate. So what's the debate about Brock Purdy? It's that he's a system guy. That's the only way you can denigrate what he's done.
Yeah, but I think that, boy, I would have already thought those days are numbered. You know what I mean?
No, they're over.
They're over. They're over. The stats, the pacing. I mean, if you want to have a debate about Brock Purdy right now, it's whether or not he's leading the race for MVP. By the way, the answer is yes.
Well, there's two different pieces to that. Should he be leading the race for MVP?
And is
probably.
He?
Is he? I don't think that he is.
Oh, see, I do.
Because I think that there are enough Dan Orlovskys out there who will look at Brock Purdy and, yes, he's number one in the NFL in quarterback rating and, more importantly, in QBR. Yards per completion, he's number 2 behind Tua. You could look at all the metrics, and he's up there, but I do think that when it comes time to vote, and these are human beings who are going to vote, and human beings who probably won't watch all 17 games that Brock Purdy plays, I do think that there'll be a bit of a bias, and it goes back to draftism that you and I have talked about, a certain sense of draftism and the bias around Brock Purdy that's going to cost him votes.
All right, game show music, please. As of last night, the current Las Vegas odds to win NFL MVP. Top 5 answers on the board.
Okay.
Mr. Dan Dibley, how do you see the current race?
Well, Brock Purdy's got to be in the top 5 after last night. So I'll say Brock Purdy's in the top 5.
Number 5.
Number 5, okay.
Plus 1,000.
Wow.
Number 5.
In a week.
Now, again.
In a week, he went from 20-1 to 10-1.
Now.
In a week.
I want to also say this. For those of you listening, that does not mean that he wouldn't win it if people were voting today.
I call that a whole week.
There you go. These
one of my all-time favorite interviews.
These are odds. So this is speculative and predictive based on what's going to happen next. I wonder what, and Peter King will join us this week. He is an MVP voter. I'll bet you right now that he would cast his vote for Brock Purdy as the NFL MVP. But
he loves Brock.
In terms of odds, right now he's tracking as 5th. Who do you think the other 4 are in the top 5?
Well, I think Patrick Mahomes would have to be one because people love that quarterback.
Number 3.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes, plus
number
500.
3.
Man, it gets tough because
it's actually tied for second.
Tied for second. Tua's got to be up there. I'm going to say Tua Tagovailoa.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Leading the league in yards.
Yeah, plus 475.
Here's where it gets difficult because I need numbers 2 and 4.
Correct.
And they're going to be quarterbacks. Although, would McCaffrey sneak in there? I'm going to hold off on McCaffrey, and I'm going to say, I'm going to pause. Man, dude, how about Josh Allen? Is he in the top 5?
Number 2.
Okay.
Number 2. Josh Allen.
Okie dokie. I'm torn between.
What happens in London stays in London.
Yeah,
number 2.
Apparently. I'm torn between hang in there, big guy, Jared Goff, and Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
McCaffrey, quiet game. And, man, I'm going to say Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Jalen Hurts?
Number 10. Jared Goff. Number 10.
Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4.
McCaffrey is tied for 6th with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, all right.
By the way, we talk about
Sorry, it's Grandy.
He was waiting for that.
People can see the smile when he buzzes me.
Oh, he does enjoy it.
I don't love the young people.
When we talk about draftism.
Yep.
Now, this is running backism, if you will. So, to give you an idea.
A lot of isms from you.
Oh, that's what I do. To give you an idea of what you need to do as a running back in order to beat the quarterbacks for MVP, Christian McCaffrey is currently tied with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's not having a great year. He's not. And again, this is odds, not voting. If this were voting, I do think CMC would finish in the top 5. I think he'd be ahead of Lamar for sure.